we go. Last thing we did was we got our edit methods working for both of our classes. Let's double check that. There we go, yep, everything is good. So, next we need to do delete. And we are going to do that from, let's start with deleting a course. And we're going to want to do that from the course page so that we have access to a particular course and its ID. So all we have right now on the course page is we have a link to its edit form. Let's add a form here so that we can delete the current course. I'm going to refer to our patch and delete lesson to see how that is going to look. Let's see, that's for edit. Edit, edit. Here we go. Delete. So we could use a link, oh no, we can't use a link for this, I'm sorry, because we need to be able to send this as a delete request. It's a version of the post request because we're modifying something, and I'm going to work off of this. I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see both at the same time. Here we go. Make this a bit smaller too. We don't need this right now. We don't need this right now. Bless you.
Thank you.
And this goes over here. Okay. So again, when we're traveling from Twig to a route, we need to have either a form or a link tag. In this case, we're going to use a form. And how does Silex know which route to send it to? That's controlled by the URL defined in the action and the method. So we start with the method post, and we're going to define our URL to be sending back to the same single course page that we're on right now, except this time we're using the delete method. So that's how Silex will be able to tell them apart. So we're going to go to /courses/ the current course, single course, and its ID number. So we call it get ID method. And now we need to add the hidden input field to change this regular old post request into a delete request. So I'm going to say, give me an input tag. Its name is going to be _method. Don't look too deeply into that. We just have to remember this is what Silex uses to convert a regular post request into a delete request. It is of type hidden, and the value with the method is delete. So now that we've set that up, while we're thinking about it, I'm going to copy this over so that we can make sure we get our URL correctly. And now we don't need to look at that form anymore for the moment. Let's hop over to our app.php file and set up that route so that we have a receiver. Put app.php over here. This is for a course, so I'm putting it in our courses section. I'm going to go, hey app, look for a delete request at this URL. And now, once this is rendered over in our Twig file, the URL is going to look like courses/ an ID number. So we use a slightly different format to look for that in our app.php file. We use the single curly braces, and we're going to give it the name course ID to delete. Remember, this is just a pattern. We're telling Silex to look for anything that matches /courses/ something. And we know that this something is going to be the number, the ID of the course that we want to get rid of. And then we finish off our route by saying, here's the function that's going to get called when we get to this route. And we want to have pass this name in as a variable so that we can use it in our route. use app. And we're gonna not forget our semicolon and our closing parentheses and curly brackets while we're getting set up here. And I will fill that in a moment. So now our form should be connected to our route. Let's get back to filling out our form. So this form doesn't need any input fields because all we're doing is deleting. So we're going to want to just have a button here, and it is still of type submit because that's what triggers the form to go and send to that URL in the action. And let's call it delete this course. All right, cool. Now, what do we need to put in this route? Let's refer back to our tests to know how it's going to look. So this is going to be in the course test because we're deleting a course. And let's go find delete. Here we go. Let's delete all. That's deleting. Here we go. Test delete. So when we put our test together, we start by arranging. And in order to delete a course, we need to have some courses. So we start with Defense Against the Dark Arts and History of Europe. We save both of them to the database, and then we delete the first one. Assuming that that has worked, then when we call course get all, we should be left with only the second course, which is, in this case, History of Europe. So this right here, under Act, is what we want to actually have in our route. So I'm going to copy that over for reference and put it in here. So instead of test course, we need to find the actual course that matches the ID that we're passing in from the URL here. So that from the URL gets put inside of this variable, which is what we can pass to our find method. So let's say I'm going to make a container here. Course to delete is equal to whatever is returned from the static find method, and we pass in the ID that we get from our URL. And now, just like in our test file, we want to call its delete method. Course to delete. Yo, delete yourself. All right. And now we need to render a twig file and pass it the necessary information. So let's see, where shall we send the user after this? Let's just send them back to our courses page. How about that? We can steal this render statement and re-render the same twig file we used to view all of our courses. And this time, assuming our delete method worked correctly, we should see one less of them on our list. We're still passing in the same variables to twig to use. We need to have this label for all of our courses that we're using in our for loop, and we are calling our getAll function to put something in under that label. Okay, so that should be everything. Let's give it a try. Starting from home, let's go view our courses. Here they are. Let's go and delete Greek. So now we have a delete button that was created by our form, and bang, we have a problem. I forgot to comment out our test course, line 55. So that was just there for reference. We don't actually want that to be in our code here. Let's comment that out, try it again. Reload and delete. Hooray! Now we are left only with the history of the US and PHP. Wonderful. Let's repeat that with students. So we are going to start again from the single student twig page, just like we started from the single course twig page. Is this the right one? Yep, course.html.twig. We can make that smaller. All right, now we can see them both. Pardon me while I adjust. There we go. Come on. There. Yeah, so whatever. Okay. So we need the same form again to give us a delete button. let's copy it over here into student.html.twig. And now, instead of sending to courses slash the course ID, we're gonna wanna go to students slash the single student ID. And again, the method is post, and we're converting it to a delete method using this hidden input field. And we have a submit button that should now say delete this student. And now we need to create the route to receive that. We're coming from the student.html.twig page, sending to students slash an ID with a delete method. So over here, it's going to match this method, this route, except it's going to be using a student ID. So let's copy this and bring it down to our student section. We're matching the same format so we make sure it not get lost. All right, app, delete. Now I'm gonna put our twig file over on the left here so that we can make sure we've got this URL. We're going to be receiving on students slash, and let's name this one student ID to delete. Copy this because I'll need it in a second. And so yeah, students slash something, students slash something. It's a delete, and it is a delete over here. Okay, so that should be received. Now we have to make sure that we're capturing this ID number from the URL, passing it into the function so that we can use it there, and then we can pass it on into our find method, which will be the student find method now. So now we should have a student to delete. Let's do that. And we'll put it down here, and we'll call its delete method, which should be the same on the student as on the course. And again, we will render our students.html.twig page just as we did, where is it? Here we go. Get students, and this should show us all of our students minus the one that we are expelling. Bang. All right, let's test it out. Students, there we go. Harry Potter, you're gone. Yep, and we're left with Lisa and Diane. Wonderful. Don't want to go back. All right, so that is delete singular. Let's do delete all next. We're going to, let's go back to courses. So since this is clearing out our database of all of the courses, we are going to, we don't need information about a single course, so we can put it safely on our courses.html file. We're going to put it inside of our container here, and we're going to need another form. And let's see. Actually, I'm going to make sure to make a commit here. Why don't we pause the video for a second?